I am pleased to introduce my buddy Roman, who's been working on some fantastic alternatives to CBD and the Hempcrete field, and I've been watching him on Facebook, and you guys should too. It's fantastic. Roman, great to see you, buddy.
Jesse.
Thanks for coming today.
All right. Hi, my name is Roman Viscochil. I live in New Buffalo, Michigan, down here, southwestern corner. I've been involved in cannabis for 30 years in all the ways you could probably imagine. I've been a caregiver for the last 6 years. I've created many hybrids. But about 4 months ago, I woke up one day and I said, F it, I'm done. I'm going into hemp because I was already interested in Hempcrete. And I have actually a project that I'm working on that I already was going to start this year, but the land deal fell through, which is a 2,000 square foot Hempcrete building that's going to serve as a hemp retail space and an educational and informational resource center for hemp for the Midwestern area. I've already talked to my children's principal at school because I want to involve the schools, create a curriculum, create workshops. The high school has a building class. They could help. I will also conduct Hempcrete workshops when I'm doing that. Speaking of Hempcrete, is everybody familiar with Hempcrete or no? Because I could explain what it is. Okay. So Hempcrete, what Hempcrete is the hemp herd of the cannabis plant. And you know, they say there's 50,000 uses for cannabis. Getting stoned is one of them. There's 49,999 other uses, and each one of those uses is going to require an industry. So what cannabis will be able to achieve are these locally sustainable communities and economies, especially in the most impoverished parts of the world. I have a friend, Alicia Fall. She runs Her Many Voices Foundation, and she's involved in a project where they're bringing hemp to Haiti. And the first thing they're going to build in Haiti is an outhouse, because they don't even have a safe place to shit out there. You know what I mean? So, and that's going to be completely left with the people, so it's sustainable. I'm working with a friend out of Latvia, Kryptos. He just developed a little mobile decortification machine. He's got his prototype, and he's going to develop 20 more, and I'm planning on bringing that here. In connection to my project, I will be looking for local hemp herd. Hemp herd, so let me talk about hemp herd. What hemp herd is the inner core of the cannabis plant. A decortification machine strips the fiber off of it and then chops up the core. The core is very, very, very porous. That's why it has such tremendous insulating value. And to make Hempcrete is a very simple process. All you need is water, hemp herd, and lime. You mix those three things together, you put it in a shutter, which is basically a wooden form. You do sections, you tamp it in with a tool. You could lift that form up right away, continue to the next section of the wall, do the whole wall. It's fireproof, it's mold proof, it's bug proof. You know, they talk about green building. This is not green, this is healthy building. Green building today involves what? Tyvek, OSB, vinyl insulation, paint. You're breathing all that stuff in, you know. And with Hempcrete, it eliminates all of that. So the petrochemical dependency that Hempcrete could help eliminate is phenomenal. And then, of course, the carbon sequestering, you know, the carbon negative value of Hempcrete in itself adds to everything else, and the soil remediation. It's just a win-win-win-win-win-win situation. So yeah, the way the Hempcrete is made is like that. There are other additives you could put in it. There are colors. You could color it. I just worked on a Hempcrete project in Colorado about 6 weeks ago where we did some really interesting stuff where we actually took a rum bottle, we cut the end off of it, put it in the wall so both ends were exposed, and we did several so that you could use it as ventilation and just put a cork in it when you don't want wind blowing through it. And we did designs and colors and plaster and everything. And the life expectancy of Hempcrete is 200 years. 200 years this building will last. And you don't have to use siding. You don't have to use Tyvek. You don't have to use OSB. None of that. So, do you guys have any questions about Hempcrete? Okay, so the cost of Hempcrete, let me talk about cost. Compared to modern construction, the cost of hempcrete is about 10 to 20% more at this point, but there's a lot of factors involved in that. Number one is sourcing your hemp herd, a quality, consistent hemp herd. Like the project we did in Colorado, he had to import that from Holland. And the people in Holland are laughing at us. Like, why? Sure, take as much as you want, you know. But the problem with that is both sides are kind of waiting for each other because the type of hemp is kind of specific to do hemp herd. CBD is not really ideal for producing hemp herd, but it can be done. There are certain strains, like the big tall hemp plants that you see that are 15 feet tall, that's for hemp herd. That's not being grown for flower. It's not being grown for seed. So there are really 3 different types of hemp out there as well. And one thing I want to say is I don't like the word marijuana. It's a prohibitionary word, it's got negative connotations, and basically the plant is cannabis. Hemp is just a definition that the federal government uses here for any cannabis that's under 0.3%. So if you could find an indica strain that tests under 0.3%, it'll be classified as hemp. So you guys got to keep that in mind. The definitions and the nomenclature and how we refer to it is very important. Yes?
How many acres does it take to do that 2,000 square foot?
You could, that would probably take about 3 acres.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's it?
Yeah, so like 1 acre could do about a 700 square foot house. And so the cost of construction, it's about 10 to 20% more, but it could go up higher depending on how you source your herd. But with Hempcrete, most of the building that's being done are private residences. So depending on your finishes, that's going to get factored into your cost. So if you're putting in marble, you know, countertops and
Just the hemp, so I was just referring to acre per hemp.
about, yeah, 1 acre is about 700 square feet. Walls are about 9 inches thick usually. Yes.
All right. And,
Yes.
you said it's not best to grow the CBD, the hemp herd is not, the stalk isn't really suitable.
No, because there isn't enough stock. The strains that we're growing for CBD, we're growing for flower, so we want as much flower, not stalk. So there, and yeah, if you guys got old seeds, old jars, open them up. Let's start testing everything because the land races got so diluted, and even the terpene profiles in cannabis are getting so diluted because people didn't want it to smell. So then they breed certain genetics into it to get what they want out of it. So yeah, if you can find a land race, you're sitting on gold. Yes.
What about for like restructuring roads? Are the strength usage capabilities higher than what we're currently using?
For roads,
Roads, yeah, like asphalt.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that, but they are doing plastics out of it. They do make a hemp type of a thread that actually gets fed through a laser printer, and you could basically print any object out of, you know, plastic with using hemp. Yes. For roofing, well, you know, you have to keep a balance because you do have to use some other materials, you know, besides hempcrete because it would get wet. So you might have, you know, steel. If you want to use tar, then, you know, again, you're using, you know, petrochemical type of a product, but you can definitely use it for the insulation. So, and that's another thing you don't need to use in hempcrete is insulation because it is the insulation. Yes.
So I know that you can pour it, you need to have a structural support because the hemp
Yes.
is, as you said, the insulation. I've seen bricks again used as
Mhm.
insulation, but not for structure. Have they done panels, locking together preformed panels that are manageable to move, and you know?
Yes, they're doing all of that. In Europe and the UK, they're doing that a lot more than we are here. They're actually about 10 years ahead of us in terms of hemp.
So it's conceivable to panels, you have some
Yes.
structure.
Panels, bricks, all of that.
Pour it on the insides, or using fiber, or like the way we use plywood?
Yes, they have with the hemp fibers you can make insulation, you can make all types of fabrics. They actually out of the hemp herd, one thing that they're using it for is for if there's an oil spill, you dump it into the ocean, it soaks up the oil, and then you just pick up the hemp herd. Yeah, yeah, and animal bedding. Yes.
You know, Hempcrete's being recognized by any of the official certifications like Energy Star, LEED certification, or German or U.S. Pass and Pass Alliance?
I am not sure. People are working on that. Bob Escher, he's the leading architect who's on my team. He's out of Vermont. He's working on that. But that's the thing. Like, if you want to build with Hempcrete, if you want to build a tiny hemp house with no sewer, no electricity, then you don't need a permit for it. But if you want to get a permit, you have to get a team together. You have to have a Hempcrete team together to be able to present it to your local building inspectors in a way, because basically, you're going to phrase it as an alternative building material. And until they ask, that's when you tell them, oh, well, it's actually hemp. What's so it's going to require a lot of education for whoever wants to do it with their local municipality. But when you do that, you could develop a model that could be implemented for other people. Okay, I got to wrap it up. I just want to talk about 3 events that are happening real quick. There is a hemp building workshop in McKay, Idaho, and there's Damien Baumer from France is going to be there, and he's going to be showing the whole technique, and he's actually going to be showing spraying of the hempcrete, where they're going to be spraying the wall, and that's the first time that's going to be shown here. That's July 5th through July 7th. July 19th through the 21st, there's Carnival, which is the first hemp conference in the Caribbean on the island of St. Croix, and I used to live there, and I'll be speaking at that conference. And then July 26th through the 28th, John Patterson, who's my mentor in Hempcrete, he's having a tiny hemp house building workshop in Fort Collins, Colorado, and I'll be actually cooking all the hemp-infused meals there for that, as well as everything else. So thank you again. If you want to get a hold of me. Yes, sorry, any questions? July 26th through the 28th. Yeah. McCall? Okay, sorry, I couldn't read my writing. All right. I'll be here, so we'll all meet personally. Thank you so much.